So, you're thinking about getting a big bore kit. Is it worth it? What's up, guys? Kawasaki KP back with another one. Today, we're going to be going over the big bore kit and whether or not it might be worth it to get one. Now, of course, all of this is going to come down to, you know, you personally, what you want out of the bike, but we're going to break down everything, the pros, the cons. We're going to hop on the bike. I'll tell you a little bit about it. And then when we get back here, I'll do a little bit of a price breakdown and maybe not give you an exact number, but at least give you a roundabout idea of what you could be looking like spending whenever you decide to put one on yours. And so, with that, let's go ahead and get on the bike. We'll go down the road a little bit and we'll talk about it some more. Okay, so the first thing that you should know when buying a big bore kit is you can no longer get regular fuel. You have to put premium. You have to keep in mind it's a high compression piston that you put in with the big bore kit. So you need to use premium fuel. Usually 93 works no problem. So there is a gas station around here that sells 110 octane. I put it in there once. Super expensive. It's like $15 a gallon, which is absolutely nuts, but I put it in just to see what it would do, and I noticed absolutely zero difference. So as long as you're putting in an octane that's high enough to run your high compression piston, you're good. Another thing to keep in mind when you get a big bore kit, it's not just a big bore kit that you have to buy. There's a lot of supporting mods that you have to get in order for it to work and work well. Number one being your exhaust. You have to have a good exhaust, not just an aftermarket one. Get an exhaust that is good for performance, not just for the sound. A lot of people, including myself, before I put the big bore kit in, has an iStunt exhaust from Amazon, which is fine if, that's all you really want is just for it to sound good. It did the job. It was fine. Come to find out, the iStunt exhaust is actually more restrictive than your stock exhaust. So it actually hurts your performance more than it helps it. So get a good exhaust. I have a Hindle on mine, and those are pretty much ideal. If you want to do a big bore kit, you need a good performance exhaust. A fuel tuner. I highly recommend getting an A-Racer with auto tune. When I first got the big bore kit, I didn't even know you had to get a fuel tuner. So then when I found out, I went ahead and bought one, and I didn't do much research. I ended up getting a Power Commander 5. And I guess those are okay, but the only problem is you really need to take it somewhere and get it dynoed. There is no preloaded mats or anything like that. So you had to get it tuned, and then it'll hold the tune. Unless you have the auto tune. I didn't get the auto tune, but what the guy was telling me with the auto tune is you basically have to put it on and then take it back, hook it up to a computer, accept all the suggestions that it makes. And I didn't have a laptop at the time. I had no way to really hook it up to anything. So I ended up just buying an A-Racer with auto tune.
And I'm pretty glad I did because it tells you absolutely everything and it hooks right to your phone. That's what you see me looking down all the time. That's what I'm looking at. This whole screen right here is the monitor screen from A-Racer. And it tells you everything from your speed, your AFR, the RPMs, the temperature of the engine. It even tells you the throttle position. And that's just the screen. You can do like a paid version, and it tells you a lot more, but I don't really need all that. I look down at my phone way too much as it is, so I really don't need something else to, distract me from actually riding. If you're going to get a big bore kit, is you should probably have a heavy-duty clutch. Those are super cheap. They're like $30. You should probably get one anyways. I guess it's not really a necessity, but it's probably something you should get. It's not like it's going to break the bank. Some other things that you're going to want to get, I don't really think you absolutely have to, but it's not going to hurt for sure to have an oil cooler. Especially if you're going on longer distance rides, an oil cooler just helps, keep everything cooled down and running better for longer. Also, something I'm not exactly sure if you need, but I got anyway, is an aftermarket, like heavy duty starter. I'm not sure if it takes more cranking amps or anything like that. I do have a bigger battery as well, but I got a battery and a starter, and that's just something else that you might want to get that I don't exactly know if it helps or not, but it can't hurt for sure. Something else that you probably want to get is a high flow oil pump. Again, I don't think these are terribly expensive, and it's not too big of a pain to put on. I would recommend getting it at the same time you install your clutch. It's on the same side, and it's just easier to go ahead and get everything. Now, all that being said, with all them extra parts you're going to need, you're looking at a pretty good chunk of change just for getting a few extra cc's. So here lies the question, is it really worth it? I will tell you the pros and cons from my perspective. When it was stock, it ran great. When I would start climbing hills, even small hills, I would start to bog down. I'm about 225, 230 pounds, 240 with my clothes and my backpack or anything, my boots on. The bike is only 225 pounds stock. So it didn't like hills that much with me on it. It would slow down, and it was getting kind of hard for me to keep up with some of the other guys who were just a little bit skinnier than me. Now that I have this big bore kit, I have no problems with hills. And most of the hills that I come to, I can accelerate up them in any gear. Every once in a while, I come to a hill, and I do live in the Smoky Mountains, and that's where I ride. But every now and again, I'll come to a hill where I have to downshift from fourth to third. Not even that big a deal. Now, what are the downfalls to having a big bore kit? Well, there's a couple. One is you really do lose your reliability. Kawasaki makes pretty good engines, and I had zero problems at all whenever I had my original motor without any work being done to it. So when you start tearing things apart and putting aftermarket parts in, you definitely lose the reliability a little bit. And if you don't have things tuned right, you can forget about it. I'll have to insert a clip it later, but I have a whole handful of pistons that I blew up. The piston that's in it now is like the fifth or sixth one. I think it's the fifth piston that's been in this bike. And while even the aftermarket high compression pistons aren't terribly expensive, it's still not something I want to keep paying for all the time. Another downfall with doing a big bore kit is, like I mentioned earlier, it's expensive. By the time you get all the supporting mods that goes with it, I mean, you're looking at a couple $1,000s, which if you buy a brand new Z125 and then spend all that money in it, I mean, you could just get a bigger bike. Another thing is, besides climbing hills, it really didn't make it that much faster. I also swapped both sprockets out in the front and the back to give me more top end, because I used to ride this thing back and forth to work every day, and it was on a pretty busy highway, and where I really needed to keep up. And it did, but you would think spending all this money in it, I could take this thing to 70. So am I glad that I got the big bore kit? Yeah. Once it's all said and done, I would much rather have it than not have it. Like I said, I'm kind of a heftier guy, so it does help get me around, and it definitely adds more power to the bike. Would I recommend it to anybody else? Well, that's up to you. Everybody's circumstance is a little bit different. If you have the money and the patience and you know how to work on things, yeah, go for it. Knock it out. To get back to the house, I'm going to go on the internet and we'll pull up how much everything that I have in this bike costs, and we'll add everything up and give you a pretty good idea of what it might cost to do your big bore kit.
All right, guys, so we just got back. We're going to look up some of these prices and add them up real quick, and then give you a kind of a rough estimate of what it could cost you if you wanted to do the big bore kit. And then you can make a decision for yourself whether or not it's worth it. The TB Parts Heavy Duty Clutch Kit, $35.99, not bad at all. The stroker crank's about $200. You don't need it, but it does give you a few more CCs. Just keep in mind, if you want to go this route, you're going to have to split the case. You're going to need a fuel tuner anyways. I highly recommend getting this one. It's the best one that I've seen out there by far, and it's coming in right around 450 to 500 depending on where you get it, but it's worth every penny. Pair that with the auto tuner for about an extra $350. It's going to make your life a lot easier. This is the AF3. I have the AF2. This just, I guess, just the newer version, but it's about the same price. Chimera intake, like anyway, this is probably one of the first upgrades you're going to do to your bike anyway, whether you got the big bore kit or not. Also, one of the first upgrades you're going to do to your bike is the exhaust. This Hendel is about $550. It's built for performance. If you do a big bore kit, you need a performance exhaust, not just a cheap one off Amazon. High volume oil pump, about $75. Maybe not exactly a necessity, but one of those things where it for sure doesn't hurt. All right, here we got your actual big bore kit. $609. That's what this one's saying. You can get them, several different places, several different price ranges. This kit in particular has everything you need though, and this is the one that I recommend getting. Make sure you get the one that already has the race head and intake manifold, because it does get a little more expensive whenever you buy the kit separate. All right, so everything on this list added up to about 2,500. But keep in mind, not everything on this list you're absolutely going to need. Some of these things I got just because maybe I thought it would help in the long run, but honestly, I don't know. Things like the oil cooler, um, which I don't even think I put on the list. That was about $200. Things like that, you don't necessarily need it, especially if you're just doing the 143 kit, but it's helpful to have, I think. So if you got the extra money to spend, why not? If not, and you still just want a little bit of extra power, I would go for it. All right, so I've listed all the pros and all the cons of the big bore kits. And like I said, there's different ones you could get. You could just go with the basic 143, or you could add the stroker crank, which makes it 155. That is quite a bit more work, though, to add the stroker crank. You do have to split the case, so I highly recommend taking it to somebody who really knows what they're doing, or just sticking with the 143 kit. To me, it's all worth it. It's made my ride on this bike way more enjoyable. I don't struggle going up any kind of hills. Usually I'm leaving people and people are not waiting on me when I'm riding with other minis, of course. So I hope this video helps. Um, like I said, it's all up to you. What's your preference? What's your need? You know, what do you want to get out of this bike? Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Hope it helped. Kind of wanted to just drop, a little bit of information for the people who are thinking about getting a big board kit. Um, Look around, do your research, figure out what you want out of this bike, and make a decision that's right for you. So, anyways, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to drop a comment down below. That stuff really helps this channel. It's a new channel, really trying to get it off the ground. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Anyway, till next time, y'all stay safe.